the Titan Review. We're get a chance to spend some time here with Chris Cohen, the head lacrosse coach at the University of Detroit Mercy. Chris, I'm not sure how to start this. Otherwise, it's been a couple of tough weeks. We had a tough losses on the road, VMI and High Point, and
it was interesting. We kind of to put it in as clear terms as possible. I think defensively we kind of laid an egg against VMI. A very young group played very young, and then a very young group against High Point on offense had kind of laid an egg against that team in the second game. So I think our defense, rallied and played better in the second game. We had two major components not playing well in each game.
It's tough to go on the road and they take those kind of bus trips, and you lost some players to injury. And yes, you are young, but at the level you're playing, those are all certainly circumstances, but you still have to win it at that level at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, 100%. And we are rectifying that as we go. I mean, you take a look at the statistics. When you lose ground balls like we lost, and you look at the amount of mistakes and turnovers, that's simple stuff that needs to be corrected at any level, right? And I don't think we really had an X's and O's issue on either side. I just think we had an issue of passing, catching, picking up ground balls, and kind of the clarity and focus and fortitude that you need at our level to win a game. So we're going to have to learn quick. The good news is we have a pretty long break here until March 4th, and we're kind of looking, the good news is we experienced that, and that's good, right? So these kids that might have thought they knew better from a fall of playing Division II and Division III teams, thought the level that they might have been there, and we were successful at that level. We had a great week of practice leading up to both games, but I don't think they understood the level of what you need to do at a Division I game, and now we do. And so now we have to practice a little bit better and work on those simple things and get that right and win those simple battles, which they're simple, but they're really hard to win. And hopefully we can get better.
Talk about the injuries. Is that short term or long term?
Well, what we did, I think we handled it in a way where, some guys weren't available during practice and kind of stepped in for a game. And that's not a really fair process. So we're kind of reevaluated how we're processing our week of injuries. Either you're ready to go or you're not. And I think that'll help us. So we had a little adjustment on how we're handling our injuries. And I think that'll help us long-term be healthier and have a better plan and be better prepared for a game.
Can you win a Division I when, if you look at ground balls and faceoffs, your opponent has doubled you? Is that possible?
Nope.
That's something.
No, that's a simple metric that I think every coach, whatever level you're at, middle school all the way to Division I lacrosse, it doesn't matter. I think that's a simple metric that, again, losing faceoffs is one thing and making it a fight, but then your wings better pick it up, right? So if you're losing and then losing the wing battle, that's an issue. So you can lose faceoffs and have more ground balls. If you're going to lose, if you're going to go 30-40% on the faceoff X, you better be above them. You better be 20-30% better on the ground balls.
You can make a suggestion that faceoffs are skill. Ground balls are to some extent heart, is from a coaching perspective.
Well, it's first time ground balls is, there is a skill level thing there, but yeah, if you watch our games, a lot of the contested ones we lost, and that is a frustrating thing for me, and it should frustrate our alumni because that's something we've always been good at, where maybe we didn't have the best skilled offense. We definitely always competed on a contested ground ball, and that was something we did not do well.
When you think of face-offs, you think about going into even a defensive mode when you're only winning 33% of those modes and maybe running 3 poles across the line?
Yeah, and we did, then we still didn't pick up the ball. So if you watch the game, we created a lot of ground balls, for whether we got marked with a win or a loss on the stat sheet. We created a lot of. There weren't any clean wins, I would say, on any of those games. Maybe 3 or 4 for each team. We had probably 2, and the other team had 3 clean wins. Other than that, everything was kind of as we know, Coach Hick says, he calls it a knife fight when you get all 6 guys involved, and someone's got to pick up the ball. But we were very unsuccessful at those fights.
And we should point out, and I say this just from a coaching standpoint, it's not like you're standing there watching. You're pulling your hair out in practice, at night, in bed, walking down the street, trying to figure out what it is that you need to trigger to make these things more successful. You're doing everything you can as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Coach Katsier said it perfectly. These kids are pretty tough and they're pretty resilient kids. They just weren't playing like it, and we got to figure out how to get there. We think we were still recruited the right guys. We still love them. We still think we can be successful with these kids. We just got to figure out how to get them in the right mindset, the right amount of aggression, the right amount of poise. And kind of whatever that continuum is, get them ready to go. When you have 4 or 5 guys, it's their second Division I game playing offense. I don't think they realize sometimes, especially kids from Michigan and the Midwest, that you drop the ball you drop a pass at the middle of the field, you're going to get penalized, and that's stuff that now we know. And High Point did an amazing job of penalizing our mistakes. I think that was probably something that Coach Torpy is going to be really happy about. I think it's anytime we made a mistake, they made sure they penalized us. And that was a great game for them and that part of the game. So, when a team makes a mistake, there's also the next step is giving them a penalty on the other side and make it feel bad with a goal.
I would use the High Point before we get into the future. The High Point second half and the High Point first half were like 2 different games. There was something said at halftime, they woke up, but it was certainly a much more competitive second half than first half.
I don't know. We changed goalies. I think that had a little to do with it. I think again, these early games for us, we weren't. We want to win them, but again, we want to learn from it. That's the number one thing. And there's a reason why we played 2 games and we took a break, because we knew we had a younger team and we might have needed a kind of a second preseason. So I think in the second half, we have a little more experience at the D midfield, and we have a little more, we have one guy that has, is a junior, right, on defense, and the rest of them are all in their second game, right? So I think there's 4 guys on defense that have played a bunch, and I think they knew how to kind of rope it in a little bit more in the second half and get it together, and not let some of the offensive mistakes that kind of led to goals. That's pretty much, out of however many, I mean, I think they took 77 shots, Greg. So, that's a tough one to get over on the defense, but they did do a good job of kind of reeling it in as best they could, even with that level of rubber that they saw.
Well, let's look to the future. March 4th, you entertain Marquette, you get your first home game. That helps a little bit. You're not riding the bus for a long time. You get a chance to get out of your own bed and play at home. That's a step up.
Yeah, and Marquette's a Big East team, so they're another team that's going to be a big challenge. They're a tough team. They're built tough. They've got a lot of skill on their team. So again, while it's this is the last kind of dress rehearsal game before we've got Marquette, then we've got go down to Ohio State. And then we start our conference, and that's where it has always really mattered for us at U of D. We try to win every game we play, but we want to be playing our best when the conference comes along. And again, we got to bust to Marquette or bust down to Mercer. And we had to learn how to do that with VMI and High Point. So, we're going to learn how to do a home game against Marquette. And, I think that's going to be we're going to have some jitters and some things that, because they're not used to that. Some of these guys, it's their first home game, right? A lot of the guys that'll be playing on offense and defense haven't played, they played scrimmages on Titan Field, but they haven't played a game, especially in some of the guys with our situation last year. This will be, for a lot of them, their first game on Titan Field, which is, I think, a pretty fun experience.
Head to Ohio State, to Columbus, and brand new stadium down there. Nick Myers and the group has got themselves quite a facility just north of their football field down there, north of their football indoor stadium. where the old field hockey stadium used to be, or right next door to it. And I've seen pictures of it. We were down a couple weeks ago. It's a magnificent facility, really is.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Coach Myers is a good friend. If you know him, you know his level of commitment to Ohio State lacrosse, and I think nobody not a coach deserves that kind of response back from a university for his level of commitment to his university and those kids in that program. I'm excited to be a part of it, excited to go down and see it. They're going to have, they're going to have PLL games there probably for the rest of eternity. And we hope that we're playing the best lacrosse we can play to give them a game. We've done that in the past, and I hope to do it again.
They did something unique. If you can imagine Michigan's lacrosse stadium and raise it up 8 feet, you can stand in a concession stand and actually look through the fence and see at field level while the teams are playing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, they did it. I think they did a nice job from what I've seen. I'm excited to get down there a little early and tour it and tour everything. And, just a classy program that deserves it.
We'll talk about the ASUN League when we have our next installment. It's come 1st of March. We just wanted to cover these 2 games. And obviously, you got a couple of weeks of practice. You put a good week in this week. Obviously, next week is President's holiday. So what's up for the next before the 4th between now and then? What is it you're working on?
Well, we're handling it like a preseason, right? We are giving the guys a little bit of time off. We have a couple kids that were directly affected by direct friends or siblings for the Michigan State situation that just happened. So while we were going to go a little bit more, we thought it was appropriate to make the guys go with their families a little bit, and some of the guys are going to travel with each other to take care of themselves in that situation, because we've had guys that have played with people. And then a brother that was actually in a room that was attacked. So we want to take care of that situation and make sure everybody gets an opportunity to reflect and take care of their emotional needs with that.
I have on a Grosse Pointe North shirt where I'm the golf coach, and one of the young ladies that passed was from North. The young man that passed was from South and actually was a lacrosse player, as you were well aware.
Yeah.
Played for 313 and
yep.
I as a Spartan, believe me.
We're gonna have we're gonna do my connection with Matt Holtz. We're gonna do a godfather of his oldest child, and we're gonna do a Spartan Strong sticker on our helmet. I wish we didn't have to. It's enough already for me. We don't need to get into all that. But
no.
Enough is enough with this stuff, and you just feel for the kids and kids that have been through multiple times of this situation. Enough is enough.
No, this and having coached at Oxford for 9 years, there's no politics to this. There has to be at some point there has to be a finale. That said, we wish you the best of luck for practice for the next couple of weeks. We will be bringing you the broadcast, the Marquette game, which is Saturday, March 4th. I think a noon start, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, noon start.
And hopefully we get off to the right start. So
hopefully we have some nice weather. And if we don't, you can watch it on TV. You can watch it on TV, YouTube, wherever it's going to be broadcasted.
I was just thinking today it's 65 degrees. Probably March 4th it'll be 12 below zero and snowing.
Yeah, who knows, right? Knock on wood.
All right, Chris. Best of luck. Have a good week, couple weeks of practice, and we'll see you at the Marquette game. Thank you. We're going to spend a couple of moments with Andrew Stimmel, who's the head coach at Marquette, talking to you all the way from Milwaukee. Now, we're not going to see you until the 4th of March. You've got a couple of games coming up, but you're going to play UDM here in Detroit, and I think that'll be a trip over to our side of the world. And you're 1-2 at the moment. You had a big win over Lindenwood, a tough one against Utah, and then talk a little bit about that Notre Dame team, because everything I've heard, it's a bit of a juggernaut.
Yeah, I mean, all the credit goes to them. I mean, we knew when that game was first scheduled, we were going to be first on the opener for them, and I think it's being an opener for a team that's coming off a frustrating season is always going to be a massive challenge. And just credit to those guys. I mean, I really think they came out in the first quarter and really dictated. I felt like after that, we definitely kind of found our footing a little bit, and certainly had some positives to build on. But they're a really complete team. You know how good they are at the face-off X. They're traditionally a great defense. They have Entman and Cage, and I think really where, even last year they've obviously been good offensively, but their offense is really something special, I think. And the development of the midfield and even a guy like Chris Kavanaugh, who I think everybody thought was really good last year, he's just taken another step in his game, to playing with his brother. And, I really think you have two, potentially first team All-American attackmen playing together that are brothers. Just kind of proved a little bit too much to handle for us, but we're excited, I think, build off of that and move forward against a great Michigan team coming up here.
Going down to all the way to Naples.
Yep.
Stomping grounds. It's a great place to play. You're part of a kind of an exhibition with, I think, down there, if I'm not mistaken. That's another challenge. You play them on this coming Saturday. I'm thinking.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, this coming Saturday. So, and it's us versus Michigan in the kind of opening game, and then Ohio State versus Virginia. So, really cool opportunity, I think, for a more non-hotbed area to see four great teams all at one venue. So, we're really excited for it.
Having played Utah on the road, a little bit cold there. At least down in Florida, you're going to play in some warm weather.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I mean, we played, obviously in the bubble here for our opener, played Utah. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't cold for people from Milwaukee. I think it was like high 30s, low 40s. So that was like a balmy spring day for us. And then, in the bubble at Notre Dame as well, or in their indoor facility. So it'll be nice to be outside. I think it's going to be in the 70s and hopefully kind of be the end of I'm keep my fingers crossed when I say this, but the end of winter, beginning of spring for us in the Midwest.
UDM's had a bit of a tough start. They've had lots of goals scored on them. They fortunately get a couple of weeks off. Played a really good second half against High Point. You're
Right.
kind of coming into you're taking the bus trip over here, so that helps a little bit of with their 2 weeks off. Talk briefly about your team, what's good and what's needs to improve in the early part of the season, and then what can we expect when you come to Detroit?
Yeah. I mean, we're really looking forward to getting over to Detroit. I know, being kind of more of an outpost program, like teams in the Midwest are at times, Detroit included, us included, Denver, Utah, Michigan to an extent, Ohio State to an extent. We all kind of have these geographical challenges in scheduling. So, I know we're really looking forward to getting to Detroit, seeing their new facility, being part of the new field. Kind of opening the season in that way will be a lot of fun. We have a lot of respect for coach and the program that he's built, so we're looking forward to playing. In terms of us, I think overall, where we've really been strong, which is I think been, and I don't want to necessarily say a surprise for us, but we felt like we were going to be younger on the offensive side of the ball, returning some guys from last year certainly, but just taking a step forward was certainly what we expected. We had really two of our best guys out the first couple games this season, and really it was an opportunity for some younger guys and less experienced guys to step up. And they've been really efficient, I think, through the first three games, scoring 17, 16, and even getting the double digits against Notre Dame. I think in those circumstances where, we weren't winning as many faceoffs as we're accustomed to. We weren't getting as many stops as we're accustomed to. You're playing kind of from behind and you've got to find a way to make the most of your possession. So I think that's been the bright spot for us overall. We really believe our defense is capable of playing a lot better than what it's playing right now. Those guys are convinced, certainly they are. We feel like we've always been a defensive first team. So frankly, to give up 18 and then 21 in back-to-back games is really unfamiliar territory for us. And we just need more out of everybody on that side of the ball. So we're going to do a better job, I think. Schematically, I think we'll do a better job, getting stops, making saves, and certainly at the face-off X. And, we really are understanding that this first month of season for us is always about testing yourself and developing and really finding a way to improve as the season goes on, because we're not going to, play like an easier schedule once we get into conference with how tough the Big East is. So our goal is to always kind of come out and schedule some tough games, see where we're at, and find a way to improve.
Both schools obviously share the parochial part of, being private Catholic schools. That's a bit of a sort of a thread between both schools. But do you think you're going to see a vastly improved UDM team when you come over here? based on the second.
I think that would. I think that's fair. I mean, those guys know what they're doing from a coaching staff perspective. So I'm sure they're going to look at these first couple games and find a way to improve. And that's where I think it's a challenge for us. You're kind of going in with a few weeks off. They're not going to be the same team that we saw on film over the first 2 weeks. And I think in a lot of ways we won't be either. But you got to be able to come in. And I think ultimately for us fall back on what our identity is and who we are. And you can't, worry too much about what your opponent is doing this time of year. It's more about who's going to execute in all phases of the game. I think in February lacrosse, you look around, there's some awesome teams out there, but there's a lot of bad lacrosse being played at this time of year. So it's winter. It's not an easy time of year to play. And it's early in the season. So at the end of the day, it's going to be who ends up getting better game by game. Those are going to be the teams that are there at the end of the season, not who's playing the best lacrosse in February.
Well, I think of the 2 trips that UDM had to take down all the way, 600-700 mile bus trips. Buses are always tougher than planes, certainly, but
sure.
It's the nature of the beast. Hopefully we'll see a great Marquette UDM game coming up on the 4th. And we wish you the best of luck this weekend down at Naples against Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, Greg.